ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. Welcome to the Friday edition of the Breakfast Bankroll. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Scotty Webb, live from Tampa, Florida, where I am in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, in a balmy 19 degrees. Yes, I said it, Scott, 19. It is bleeping cold out here. Last night with the winds, holy cow, it was brisk out here. But anyways, the weekend's here. We got college football today, and of course tomorrow NFL on Sunday and Monday. We'll recap last night. Man, listen, I'm not going to make the comparison, and especially for all you fantasy football players out there. I had already made the decision anyways, but hands down, without a doubt, I don't care. Jonathan Taylor, CMC, whatever. GIBBS is the first pick next year. He got a 55 burger last week or 2 weeks ago. Comes up with almost 40 last night. And the recency bias, the how the brain works, and then, of course, the way I read the market. Yesterday at noon, the 3 to 3.5, the conversations with Jeffrey Benson. There was just no way in hell I could to wrap my head around the numbers and the fact where Dallas was surging and the mash unit and the Lions, how they're playing. How are they going to do it? Well, GIBBS was a big factor, of course. Pickens kind of going through the motions, which makes you real leery to dig in there and get him next year. And then, of course, CeeDee Lamb gets concussed. So hail to the hail to the Lions. Kind of put a plug or a tourniquet on the bleeding, as I like to say. And for Dallas, hey, it was a great run. Go out with pride with 4 games left. Even your quarterback, Dak, didn't know. I think he said 5 games in his presser. So anyways, first and foremost, of course, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free. Travis, Zach, Guy, myself, Amber, Holly, Carol Bucks, Matthew Allen, Drew, Jacob, the list is endless. Come on board today. Download that app, I promise you. And join them on X at the WagerWire community. You'll have a blast. And of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Terry Smith, second to none. Customer service even better. Product even better than that. Head on over there. Let him fill your tables with steaks, seafood, chops, appetizers, and wine for the holidays. Let them decorate your table, maybe even for Christmas Day dinner as well. So head on over to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, chap?
Yeah, it's not as cold here. I don't think I would like 19 degrees very well. I think I would probably move south.
Yeah, we get to that certain age, and it's funny. I in Cape Cod is. Uh-oh, I did it again. Hold on. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You get the red hats, the birds, whatever they call them. The grays. Labor Day hits in September, and they're already flying down south. They don't make it to Halloween. They don't make it to Thanksgiving. And like this, the Four Seasons, they were a great group growing up for, way, way back in the day. But the older you get and as your bones start to, it's not good on the bone. So, no, you're correct there. A lot to talk about here. The weekend's here. We got a handful of games. You've already put up your in-pocket plays. We'll bring them up again. Big games again on Saturday. Red Sox making moves again. A lot of places to go. Actually, you know what? I know this is our football show, but I want to get it out of the way here. I wanted your thoughts on the arm they brought back. They're doing something, and if it's working, fine. And it's almost like fish in a barrel. They're taking the guys coming off the Tommy Johns, and I think hoping that one of them hits. They took a shot way back on the Big Maple, didn't work out. They took a shot on the gentleman that had cancer, that didn't work out. Giolito finally worked out. You can get these guys for, I don't want to say pennies on the dollar, but discounts. But when you now, and you talked about Fangraphs, take the long list of starting pitchers, and we know you can never have enough starting pitching. It's almost like they're stockpiling to actually make a move for a trade. And I'm going to say this, Scotty. The talk last year, the talk this year is for Joe Ryan. All right? I'm going to go around the back door. I'm going to go after someone that I like, and I think upside is better, maybe cheaper, and I know they'll take Duran because they took Benintendi, and that's Cole Ragans. I would love to add him to our front staff, but again, I threw a lot out there. The trade, the arm, is it valuable? Will he be pitching for us? Your thoughts there?
Talking about OCA Potato, whatever, however you say his name, OCA, whatever. Well, I've followed that guy a lot. He's up and down. He can have starts, and he can be a middle relief guy. He's not really a bullpen piece. He's a middle relief, long relief guy. You know what I mean? Like he's 3-4 inning guy. I don't really recall him being a 1 inning, kind of relief pitcher, but I would say that the more arms that you have that are on the upper side of Major League Baseball quality, the better you're going to be. And he's one of those guys. He's got a good arm. He's and when I say arm, I'm talking about the ball coming out and the stuff he's making, right? He's a good pitcher. I think there's something up here with that guy because he has his down spells and it's very difficult to predict what they are, and it's very hard to figure out how many games in a row he can pitch well, and then how many games in a row he pitches poorly. Is he worth a risk? Well, it depends on what you gave up. And, according to everything that I've seen, it's a fair trade. So it's not like he gave up anything extra or more or less to get this guy. So it just depends on how they use him and where they go. Now, I didn't look to see where he was slotted at Fangraphs to get an idea of what they think, and I can find out real fast. Let's go to this and Red Sox, and let's see what they popped him in at. They got him. They've got him as a long relief guy, which is sort of what I think, and that's what they've got him on the roster as a long relief guy. So, I think that's that's a role, especially in the American League East, that you need. The American League East tends to be a division where, teams can score a lot of runs on your starter, and he's got to go. So, you need a long relief guy. So I don't think that's a bad move. I don't think that's a championship winning move, but I think that's we got a need, let's fill it, that kind of thing. Could somebody else do that? Sure. Somebody else can do that. I don't, maybe they don't have that kind of person that they want to put in that spot, but at the same time, I think that he's a quality pitcher, put it that way. His numbers, last year, he didn't pitch much last year, so he only pitched 40 innings, but he's a 3.57 earned run average. Not that I use your new average, but 3.57 earned run average in 40 innings, not terrible. So I think that fills a role, and if that was a role they wanted to fill, then there you go, you got it, because he's the right guy for that, and he can spot start. Like he can fill in, and they got rid of the other guy, Cooper, whatever his name is,
Griswold.
Yeah, he's now gone. So, and I thought he did a good job on fill-in starts and stuff like that. But this guy's going to be the Cooper guy that you used to have. This will be the new guy.
Give me the Scotty Webb thought process. Ryan versus Ragans.
Well, how old is Ragans? Ragans is where is Ragans? Ragans is 28, and Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan is Joe Ryan's only 29 and a half. So the age variance is that's what to a degree is kind of what I thought. I thought Ragans was a little older than what people think he is. I think people thought he was, like 26 or something. But you got to remember, he came out of the Texas organization and before he got to the Royals. So, and they didn't like him. So, I mean, they got rid of him because he couldn't throw strikes. And the Royals finally figured out a way to get him to at least pitch a little better. I like Ragans. I probably like as an arm and ball movement and ace material. I think Ragans is more of an ace than what Joe Ryan is. Joe Ryan's not even the ace of his team he's on. Pablo Lopez is. So like he's the number 2 for the Minnesota Twins. So he should be. How do I say this right? Theoretically, he's not an ace and should be treated like a number 2. I get it. You want to go out and get him and you want to do all these different things. And he's not a bad pitcher. Don't get me wrong. Now, I would say anybody that came up, and this is just a straw in the cap for Tampa Bay. Joe Ryan came up through the Tampa Bay organization. Joe he knows how to pitch. They taught him what to do, and all that stuff. They develop pitchers, and I'm not a super big guy on super small pitchers. I don't know if you know how big Joe Ryan is, but Joe Ryan, if I click on it, Joe Ryan is he's a little bigger than I thought he was. He's 6'2", 205 pounds. So if I'm 6 foot tall and 210 pounds, you know what I mean? Like he's a little skinny guy that's out there, and when you see him on the mound, you think to yourself, man, this guy's not very big. But I will say that the little guys, especially the small weight guys, they tend to lack stamina, I guess is the right word. They just don't have the power. But he's done it year in and year out. So, there's no question that he's a good pitcher. So, but is he, I don't think he's an ace. I think he's a good pitcher. I think he's a quality number 2 pitcher. I don't think he can lead a staff. If you were to give him to the St. Louis Cardinals, the Cardinals have no pitching. Like if you look them up, they got no pitching now at all. I mean, they none. Their number one pitcher is Liberatore, and would Joe Ryan be better than Liberatore? Probably, but Liberatore starting to come into his own a little bit, so maybe they would have Ryan be second to Liberatore. I don't know. When you start matching up Joe Ryan to actual aces, he's an underdog every time. He's not a favorite. So I think that's where Joe Ryan slots in. Is he's a solid, good pitcher and is a solid, good number two. That's what I think. If you pitch, I think about Boston right now, right? They just went and got Sonny Gray. So Sonny Gray is going to be like their number two or number three. So if Sonny Gray is number two, let's just say he's number two, and he matches up against Joe Ryan as a number two, who's the favorite? Who's the better pitcher in that matchup?
I think the public would say Ryan, and I think that the mystique about Ryan is the fact that you got the 2 years of control, and the same thing that they had with Crochet. And the fact is they brought him over and they were able to make that long-term deal. And I think with the age at where Ryan is now, hey, we got you under 2 years. You can take a long-term deal or a longer-term deal, an extension, and stay here and compete in the AL East for whatever. Or, the Twins, as we know, are in a rebuild. They're just holding them hostage. We had an opportunity last year at the trade deadline. They didn't want to move on Tolley. And I'm kind of curious if that same proposal came and what Dave saw after Tolley came up with all this, or, they still got Early and a bunch of other arms, yada, 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 if they would pull the trigger. But I would love the Ragans deal. I think you got more upside. I think more, I want to say more of a power pitcher. That's probably not the right statement there, but if I can wheel out a Crochet Ragans Gray, even if it costs me Bello or whatever, I'll take that 1, 2, 3 versus almost anyone, Scotty.
Yeah, I would tell you. So I think you got to be careful with Ragans and what you think, and here's why. Ragans, and I was trying to make sure my memory was good because my memory is not good half the time. So I went back and I looked, and Ragans in 2022 he threw 40 innings as his call-up season for Texas, and then okay, he's going to be a stud the next year. Well, he pitched for 2 teams the following year, and he only threw 96 innings. And then his breakout season for the Royals, he threw 186 innings. That's pretty good. Then he got hurt. He threw 61 innings. He's only thrown over 100 innings once in his major league career as major league pitcher. Now, I mean, he's thrown in the minor leagues and stuff like that. But I don't know if that's a strong enough track record to sort of wager your future on a Ragans. Now, yes, he's got good stuff. But and his earned run average has been good. Now, last year it wasn't. I mean, it's 4.67. He's getting bombed a lot. But of course, when you're hurt and you're still trying to get stuff done, you're not as good. But I think I would be careful, just in a sense of he's still developing and he's not fully, where he needs to be yet. And I would also say that, if you haven't done it, and you haven't proven you've done it, like Joe Ryan, bringing up Joe Ryan, he has thrown. Let's go back and look at what he's done. Minnesota, Minnesota, and we go look at Joe Ryan. He has, he pitched in 2021. He threw 26 innings. Okay, whatever. But 2022, 147. 2023, 161, 135, 171. He goes out and takes the ball, and he's gonna, now he's not got to 200 innings. Maybe that's because of the team he plays for and the situations that they're under, and maybe he was hurt and missed a game or two or whatever. But the point being is, he's at least got a proven track record of being out there, and over 150 innings for 4 or 5 years, and that's enough, right? I mean, that's a lot of innings, and based on a lot of innings, numbers of pitches, your results are more proven than a guy that hasn't. So, um, does Ragans have upside? Well, he's got potential upside. I mean, he's potential ace material. Um, but before we go, yeah, you're an ace. Well, I don't know. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're one of those guys that's on the cusp that could get there but never does. And I think that's a hard decision to make when you're a general manager of a baseball team. Is um, Some of these guys, and I say this a lot, it's up here. It's not in the talent. It's in their chest, right? It's how much do they want it? How much is their heart in it? How much do they put forth to be the best of what they can be? And I don't know that kid. So when you're growing and developing a team, I think if you're going to put your eggs in a basket, you need to know what this kid is. Now, from everything I've seen and everything I've heard, he's a competitor like no other. So, like, he's a fighter. So that tends for me to believe that he would at least put in all the effort and do everything he can to be the best he could be. So I'm not trying to distract him from that, but I'm just trying to say sometimes that's the difference between these guys. Joe Ryan's out there taking the ball, throwing 170 innings. This kid's not.
Yeah, and when we went back with the Crochet, the same thing was the concern. Never thrown so many innings, and here is he going to break down? But the guy's a maple tree. I compared him to Chris Sale, just a lot bigger, a lot stronger. So and another name slowly floating around, and again, flashes, former Cy Young. Probably hold for ransom. I think they finally do move him again, and that's Sandy Alcantara. There's been connections with the Yankees there again, so yada yada yada. We could talk baseball for hours, which we do anyways. Monday, the Hot Stove League officially begins. We'll be talking throughout next week, of course, on that. Quickly, NFL, GIBBS and GIBBS. Man, he is special. I'm not comparing him to Barry Sanders, but holy cow, the kid is special. Get out early and often, hold them off in the to the first half. And what's Dak do in the first play? Pickens not paying attention, interception, get the ball, on the 20 inside the red zone. Thanks for playing, touchdown. High scoring affair. Put a fork in Dallas. Lions still alive. Thoughts on last night?
I think that it was interesting, right? Because with like 7 minutes to go in the game, it was a 3-point game. Dallas had come back and done the difference. And I didn't think Dallas was getting totally outplayed, even up to that point. And then, because I was looking at yardage numbers and things throughout the game and what was going on, they were kind of matching each other, going back and forth and stuff. I think here's the difference, right? Here's some of the difference that I don't think, like your typical fan goes and looks at. So if you go look at the drives for these games, and I know you can't see it on my computer, maybe you can kind of see it. There's a little box there, and in that box, this is the drives by the Dallas Cowboys. Now, that's not any drives by the Detroit Lions. But what's important to understand is, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 drives. And I'm not going to, I guess I got to count that one. So there's 11 drives. They had, so I always talk about that, like these teams don't get the ball. That's a lot for an NFL team, by the way. They usually don't get the ball that many times. But in that circumstance, look at the scoring drives for each team. So I'm going to kind of do this exercise real quick. Dallas, they went the first drive. They had the ball. They went down and kicked the field goal. It's 29 yards. That's all they made. They went down and kicked the field goal. Of course, that kid can kick a field goal from, I think, his 25-yard line or something. They don't have to get it. They get the kickoff and they can kick a field goal. And then they had that sack safety thing that was going on there. So that then they punted. So they didn't go anywhere then. And then they had another field goal that started on their own 30-yard line. So these starting drives for them started on their 30-yard line, started on their 32-yard line, Then they had 4 plays, had to punt. And then they had another field goal that started on their 20-yard line, and that was the first half, right? So they had these long drives that and they netted them, field goals. The second half, they had that interception, and then they got this ball to 35, went down, scored a touchdown. So 65-yard touchdown drive. And then they had another, short drive. Well, short drive. It's on their own 42-yard line, but they get, I don't even know, they got it looks like a first down. Then they kicked a field goal from the other side of the field, and got another field goal. And then they had a 70-yard touchdown drive from their own 30, and then another one that started on their own 33, and they got a field goal. All right, so those are long drives. They have to go down the field. All right, switch this over. Look what the Lions did. The Lions start on their own 37, and they go down first series. They kick a field goal, and then they have to punt, and then they get the ball on the Dallas side of the ball of the field at the 42-yard line and go in and score a touchdown, short field touchdown, and then they get the ball and have to punt. And then they get the ball at the 47, their own 47, go down, score a touchdown. Again, short field touchdown. And then they get the ball and they go down. I don't know. They got this was a long drive for them. They couldn't sustain it, so they kicked a field goal. The next one, they get a short drive that started at the Dallas, 15-yard line, touchdown. And then they go down a long drive starting at their own 32 and miss a field goal. And then they get a long drive starting at the 32, kick a field goal. Now, this one is over the 40 again, so short drive, touchdown. And then again, another one at the 50, short drive, touchdown. So the difference in the game to me was Detroit didn't have to do as much work. They didn't have to go as far. GIBBS was really good in that game. Dallas couldn't stop him very well. And when you get a couple first downs and you're already in field goal range, what's going to happen in this game? So I thought Dallas didn't play well in terms of the mental part of the game. I thought that they had bad penalties at the bad spots. I thought that in certain circumstances, especially at the end of the game when they had got it to 3 points and then it was 10 and they were down there, they got that weird call of a offensive pass interference call that went against them, and it could have certainly been a defensive pass interference call, which would have given them a first down at the 7-yard line or whatever, which theoretically could have turned into a touchdown, which would have kept the game at 3 points. My thoughts were kind of that the breaks didn't go their way. But at the same time, the breaks didn't go. They didn't create those breaks on their own. They sort of gave Detroit a lot of breaks, and you can't overcome that. And it showed, that finally got to a point where that 3-point game ended up being, a 14, 17-point win, whatever it was, and they couldn't keep up, and that was the problem. I talked about it yesterday where if you can put pressure on Goff, and at the beginning they started that and they kind of faded away. They didn't get the pressure on Goff. So he was pretty clean a lot, and Dak got hit a lot. So I thought, Detroit's pressure was a lot better. I didn't think Dallas looked like a playoff team yesterday. And I didn't think Dallas looked like a team trying to get into the playoffs yesterday. So, like they weren't ready to play the quality of football that the Detroit Lions played. Let's put it that way. And I think it showed specifically in some of those ancillary things like, short drives, allowing Detroit, just stop them on a damn kickoff, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? Make them go down the field. And anytime that they had to go down the field, they didn't score a touchdown. They kicked a field goal or punted or missed a field goal. So I think the keys to this game were quite simply, if you make them go for longer drives in the NFL, it's extremely difficult to sustain that. And it proved them they couldn't do it.
In pocket plays for Scotty this week, 3 in all. Where are they here? Let me just play producer here. La 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 la. La la la. Texas Tech minus 12.5. Georgia, Alabama under 48. Indiana, Ohio State under 48. Scott, the weekend's here. 4 games tonight. Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State opened 1.5 now at the Circa. Good morning, Mr. Benson and Mr. Stevens. Kennesaw State 2.5 with a 60.5. Troy James Madison. James Madison opened up at 21 with a 47.5. Now 23.5 with a 46.5. North Texas Tulane. North Texas opened up at 3, now 2 with a 66.5. And last but not least, UNLV at Boise State on the Smurf turf. Boise State opened up at 1.5, now 5 with a 59.5. UNLV has not had great success there on the Smurf turf. There, we've analyzed, you've sent out some pocket plays. Anything especially pop out at you tonight? Anything on Saturday as we wrap up another week in the books, sir?
Well, I think there's a couple things that are intriguing to me as the betting market's moving. I think people are betting Boise State in a lot of sense because they look at Boise State and they know the name Boise State, and Boise State's there all the time and all that stuff. And okay, well, I just heard their quarterback's going to play again, that kind of thing. And the QBR for him, by the way, for that quarterback, the QBR for the quarterback that's coming back, that's playing Madsen, he's 89th in the country, Jeff, 89th. And the quarterback that plays for UNLV, he's 30th. So everybody's getting off, and I get it. He's a better quarterback than the kid they had in there, but he's still worse than half of the league in terms of what kind of quarterback he is. It's Madsen. And the other thing that's intriguing to me about that game, and I don't understand. So let's pull it up. Do you have games on paper up or no?
Yeah, I'll get it. Give me a sec.
Pull that game up on games on paper for just a second. I want to show you something that I think matters here, and I'm at a point where I'm almost at it where the line's getting out of hand to a point where I think UNLV is a good bet. So the first thing is UNLV is 30th in EPA, and Boise State's 38th. Okay, so they're better. Yards per play, UNLV's 21st, and yards per play, Boise State's 75th. So theoretically, UNLV's a better team here, and I get it that they got beaten, they got blown out in the first game, and all this stuff about they can't win on the blue turf. Well, okay, some people might be allergic to blue or something. I don't know, indigo. So when you look at this game, look at the middle columns there. Look at the offense of UNLV and how it matches up to the defense of Boise State. The first thing is offensively, they're 18th in football in passing, and the defense for Boise State's 10th against the pass. So they're pretty good against the pass. They should be able to hold that down. The second thing is UNLV is number 8 in the country at running the football. 8th. Boise State is 115th at stopping the run. Now, here's why I bring that up. I bring that up because if you look at the weather is 98%. 98%. It's going to rain there. It's going to rain there tonight at 42 degrees with a 5-mile-an-hour winds. I don't know how much throwing they're going to do anyway. I think they're going to run the ball in this game. And when you talk about run the ball, I think that puts them in a position that UNLV's got a huge advantage when you're talking about number 8 versus 115, and certainly Boise State's number 58 against 130 for UNLV. So both of them can't stop the run, but UNLV is a much better running team than Boise is. So I think that allows them to stay in the game. I think that allows them to be a competitive spot. So when I look at what the line movement's doing, I don't totally understand why it's moving the way it is, other than, hey, this is Boise State. They're quote almost a blue blood of the College Five or whatever they call those teams, Power Five teams. And UNLV is just UNLV, and they're just smoke and mirrors. So I think that's wrong thought process. And B, when I think the people are sitting there going, hey, this Madsen's going to play, we got a quarterback back. It doesn't matter. He's not a great quarterback. So my opinion would be is that, I don't know what this game's at 5 now or 5.5.
At the circa as we speak of 5, there are 5.5s on the market. DraftKings, Caesars, FanDuel, so especially the Square Books online, FanDuel, there are 5.5s. And I'll say this, being it's an actual 8:00 start, so they didn't give them that 10:30 start. Again, as you said, when all these small games are there, and then as you said, I think you're saying it correctly, where the Boise State name is the marquee name and UNLV struggles there, 5.5, I wouldn't be surprised. FanDuel, DraftKings, maybe a few other the Square Books pop that at 6 by kickoff.
Yeah, I would take 6 in a heartbeat. I think you do that. My AI program. Let's see what we ended up with that game. My AI program on that specific game. I'm trying to pull it back up. Let's go. That's Kennesaw State's game. This one is Troy's game. This one is the yucky Tulane game. And here it is. So this one shows an outcome that says Boise State 28-24. I think that's a legit kind of thought process. But I really think that rain's going to be an effective problem here. And I think, rain doesn't always bother these teams, but I think it bothers college kids in the passing game. Both of these teams, I think, can run the football, and I think that's going to keep UNLV fairly competitive. I don't like UNLV's defense, but at the same time, Boise State doesn't have a great defense really either. Think about the there was a pretty critical game that was up with San Diego State and Boise State the other day, maybe 2 weeks ago, where San Diego State, it was raining in San Diego for some damn reason, but it was. And San Diego State was playing at home against Boise State in the rain. Neither one of those teams could move the ball. They certainly didn't throw the ball. I think they ran the ball like 50 times, 40 attempts for one team, 40 attempts for the other team. And it was like 13-7 was the score. I'm not suggesting this is going to be 13-7 because this is AstroTurf and it's a little different, feel and different stuff. But I do think it's going to be a similar kind of effect that rain can do on a game. And if these guys get conservative with things and don't want to, they don't want to turn the ball over and lose and, whatever, I think that's going to play right into UNLV getting some points and staying within the number and being good here. So I think that's A. I think B, this Jacksonville Kennesaw State game where Jacksonville State opened up as the favorite and now Kennesaw State's the favorite. I think Kennesaw State's the better team here. I think that, if you wanted to bet this game, I think you missed the value on it. I would stay away unless you bet under in this game. That was my original thought, was to bet under in the game. The James Madison game. Do you know how cold it is there tonight, Jeff? It's the temperature in that game tonight in James Madison's game. It's going to be 26 damn degrees in this football game.
That's a heat wave for me.
I'm just telling you, it's 26 degrees. Not really any wind and no rain possibility. But those guys are going to hit each other and break. Now they're going to be brittle little guys. No, I'm just kidding. But it's going to be cold, and that doesn't necessarily curtail scoring. Cold, wind does, but not necessarily cold. But I think that it will have. If you're these two teams and you're playing and you're like, hey, this is the championship, we got to play in 26-degree weather. Can't we get a dome or something to play in? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. We'll see. And the interesting part about this game is James Madison's head coach is, he's now the head coach of UCLA. So he's going to coach this game. I don't think he's going to coach the bowl game, but he's going to coach this game to try to get him there. And the other game that's kind of that way is Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State. Those two guys are kind of new, so that's a program they're getting ready to build. But there was North Texas and Tulane. Those guys are gone, so they're going to new schools. So I'm just staying away from all of that stuff. And they're small schools, and like everybody thinks that North Texas is going to go out and put up 50 points on Tulane. Well, Tulane's a little better than that, but it's holy cow. These teams are going to be whatever they are tonight. That's why I'm just staying with what I think is the better bets, the more secure bets, are the bigger conferences on Saturday. And this BYU game, I think people look at this and go, well, that's a lot of points, 12.5. The original line the first time, I think it was only like 5 or something like that, maybe 6 for Texas Tech. Now it's 12.5. Well, that game was 29-6 or 29-7, I think was the final score of that game. But I don't think people really know, when you go back and you look at the game, there's two things that stood out to me. A, BYU didn't score until 7 minutes to go in the game. So at one point in time, the game was 26-0. And when it was 26-0, BYU kicked, or not BYU, Texas Tech had 4 field goals.
We had the team total there, and I just was, are you kidding me? They ended up with, I think, 5 for the day.
They had 5 field goals. So that's how they got to 29. So if you really think about the scoring and how it could have turned out, they might have been able to get 50. But they only got 29. So there's nothing happening between the two teams that would reflect that BYU would be able to play any better or any different in this game against this Texas Tech team. So I think Texas Tech minus the 12.5 is good. I bet that game. Obviously it's on we already gave it out, but I bet that game, and then I bet obviously Ohio State. I'm seeing a lot of people liking Indiana, by the way. A lot of people out there going, hey, take the points. Look, if you didn't take the points when it was like 5 or 6 or whatever the number is, you're getting bad numbers at 4. So don't be taking numbers at 4. You know what I mean? Take the good numbers, and if it's 4 and out, you just pass the game if that's what you like. Or play a team total or something like that. Don't be out there betting bad numbers.
I made a suggestion. If you like Indiana, I would just suggest, honestly, just go to the window and grab yourself a Mendoza for Heisman Trophy winner. There, get some plus money there. I think plus 175. If you like Ohio State, which a lot of the sharper people do, just go to get Sayin for the Heisman at around plus 175. And Matt Grissom, who was on here earlier yesterday, actually likes Pavia, who's not playing for Vanderbilt. He thought he did enough on last week in Tennessee to now provide him enough to get him the Heisman. So another week with me and Scotty. We'll be back Monday, 9:15 a.m. For our usual Monday re-entry Monday, where we'll recap all the college football games on the weekend. We'll recap the NFL. It will be the start of the Hot Stove League. We will have the brackets. I think Sunday the brackets come out. Who's in, who's out. I will be.
Well, yeah, because they got to get the bowl games announced. So I think,
yes,
they got to get that, and I think that'll start happening. And it might even happen Sunday night. So
correct. And I'll be a guest in about 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk at McGinnis Picks. And God willing, 11 a.m., Nick Hathcote will be back. We'll be talking some Notre Dame. Are they in? Are they out? What do they need to happen? And then we'll talk if Nick has some nuggets for the weekend. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, we wish everyone a blessed morning. Go grab yourself a coffee and a bagel and stay tuned.